in the know, non-stop Vikings talk. It's Purple Daily on Score North and ScoreNorth.com.
Dude, the Rhino might be back, bro.
Football.
Yes, welcome into the trenches here with a 10-year NFL veteran who has many tattoos. Between us, we have many tattoos and a Super Bowl appearance. Alex, the Rhino Boone, everybody here. That's right. Stand up.
Thank you.
Give this man a round of applause.
Philip, how are you?
I am well. The Vikings seem well at 4-1. And we're going to fire someone on the show today. We're going to ask a dumb football question. We're going to look at some film later on. That's our new thing now, 2 weeks in a row. The segment you've been begging for like 3 years.
It's addicting.
And it's largely for the YouTube audience, and we do it toward the back of these episodes now. This will be for the second time.
Yep.
And thank the gods for Kevin O'Connell just having amazing creativity, giving us fodder to dissect.
Dude. Some of this creativity is just too much. It's too real. It's too raw. It's exactly what I thought it would be. Remember last year when we were talking, I was like, this guy could be so exciting. And he's just stirring the pot so slowly. Like, when am I going to do it? I don't even know when I'm going to do it. Now I'm just boring myself to death. And then all of a sudden, boom, I got to know where you're like, holy shit, this is great.
Let's start with I'm going to give you, like usual, my biggest take, if you will, about this game, and then you can tell me if I'm right, wrong, an idiot, or some combination of these things.
I love this game. Yeah, let's do it.
Also, happy Kirktober. I don't know if you noticed, but it is Kirktober.
No, we're not making that a thing. We're not.
Well, he has multiple fourth quarter comebacks here. Last year, he had multiple fourth quarter comebacks. He's becoming.
We're coming back to that. We got to talk about that because I've never seen a quarterback start 17 for 17, just fire off the gate, and then have to come back for a fourth quarter comeback. The same game, like multiple weeks in a row. Dude, we're talking about this today.
It's a weird team in that regard. But I think my biggest takeaway is that even though it's not perfect yet, the Kirk Cousins, Kevin O'Connell partnership, we've seen the peak of it first half against Green Bay week 1, and then we saw the peak of it again. You mentioned it. Yeah. The first 17 pass plays all completed. And then you go into the bag of Kevin O'Connell play calling. Like, we haven't seen this type of a play calling bag in God knows how many years in Minnesota. So I know you took a bunch of notes too, but like the Jefferson back pass to Dalvin Cook with screen action on the right. And by the way, later in the year, that could have like an Adam Thielen route going down the field or something.
I already thought the same thing, dude. Like, where's Thielen? As soon as he threw it to Dalvin, I said, where's Thielen? And then I saw Dalvin take off, and I was like, never mind. You do you, buddy.
Yeah. And then you had, and we'll break this one down later too, the inside toss, shovel pass, whatever you want to call it, on the jet sweep motion to Jalen Reagor in the red zone for a touchdown.
Bro.
You had a flea flicker at one point. It only gained like 3 yards, but you had a flea flicker that basically had 2 plays built into one.
The tight end screen.
The tight end screen over here, but then there's also some stuff down the field that it just wasn't developing. And then God knows how many wide open Justin Jefferson routes.
Football.
Oh. So I guess my main takeaway is like, wow, that was an orgasmic offensive display by the Vikings, at least for a chunk of that game.
Oh, dude, it was amazing. And can we just talk about, like, remember the one thing I said, don't let that one guy beat you, and they let that one guy beat him like the whole day, and everyone's just like, dude, never mind the rest of the offense. We'll just throw it to this one guy the whole day, and he'll figure it out. It was super fun to watch, and it was one of those games where it kind of seemed like they were trying to get back into a rhythm. You know, you get back from London, you take a big trip over there, you come back, you play right away, which has got to be tough as hell. I think a lot of that game to me was like, let's get back in rhythm. Let's get the ball out of his hands. Let's try and get a good flow going. Maybe let's get Dalvin going a little bit more. It seemed like there was a little bit more pep in his step. It seemed like he was trying to hit those holes a little bit harder. The blocking up front was way better. I mean, dude, this duo play that they're pulling out, everybody's really running this duo play, but it's such a great play for Dalvin because he's a downhill runner, and it's a one cut and go. And you see it at times. It gets 6, 7, 8 yards. Other times it's like 3, 4, but still, you're still gaining these yards and you're beating up on the defense, trying to cram everything in there into Dalvin's world. Like, that's what you want to do. And then you spread them back out and you go, oh, here's Kirk again. I mean, dude, the way they're flowing on offense and the way that Kirk's starting to take over this offense, and, you know, people kind of like, some of the people kind of make a joke about how he's taking more control of the offense with like being able to kill plays. But really, when you're watching him, he really is taking up more ownership of this offense. When you go 17 for 17 and you have a momentum like that and a roll like that, like, dude, that's tough to do. And he just seemed like he had a great flow. He got hit a couple times, got back up, was like, I'm good to go. It just seems like they're starting to gel like we thought they would. Week 4, week 5. That's about when they're going to start put everything together. And it's like, oh my gosh, we haven't even done anything yet. We've run stupid Ohio routes and we've run over routes. We haven't even gone into the bag of tricks yet. And we're still 4-1. Yeah, that one pisses a lot of us off, but we'll get redemption later.
I feel like all of you Kirk haters, especially you owe him an apology. I mean, the guys like me who've stood by his side for all of these years, okay? We are now reaping the benefits of our Kirk belief. By the way, Kevin Seifert from ESPN.com, who covers the Vikings, he had this nugget from ESPN Stats and Info. Cousins threw 41 passes on Sunday. None of them were thrown into a tight window, meaning like no 50-50 balls, nothing that was like a yard or less of separation from a defender. And this is not a knock on him to say, well, he didn't throw any contested balls. 41 passes, none of them were into a tight window. It's the most attempts without a tight window pass since the stat was invented in 2016. And so I look at that and I say, whether it was the Bears secondary just being clueless or amazing scheming and system, the Vikings passing game had wide open dudes for 3 hours on Sunday. And Kirk did his job hitting them.
Yeah, there was not one problem. I think it was a little bit of both. The scheme and that defense is clueless as shit. I mean, you can't tell me that you don't see Justin Jefferson over there and they're like, hey, let's give him 10 yards. We'll just give him 10 yards free access, whatever he wants to do. And KOC was like, all right, listen, we're going to go back to the original drawing board. We're just going to hit some simple plays. We'll let these guys do what they're going to do. We'll break them out a little bit. But for the most part, I think that the Bears thought that they were going to try and take the roof off of them. And so they were literally trying to keep everything in front. And at the same time, it's like they're just giving so much free access to Justin Jefferson. Why would you do that? If anything, you're like, hey, we'll keep the rest of these guys in front of us, but this one guy, we're going to bracket. We're going to double him. We're going to find him. We're going to put safety over the top. They didn't do any of that. And then they did a great job of getting to the run game and letting Dalvin do Dalvin. I mean, a couple duos in, and all of a sudden it looks like this defense doesn't want to play anymore. And then a couple zones later, and it's like, wow, this is really starting to look like a real thing. This is getting exciting. And then back to the offensive play action, and then all of a sudden we're going to spread them back out. I mean, there's just so many layers of this offense, and yet you haven't even seen anything yet. We've seen like 4, 5, 6 plays where we're like, wow, that was really cool. That was really cool. Now I want to see like 30. I'm so greedy. I'm like, show me more. Please show me more. Like this Jalen Reagor one, that one had me so excited. I had to rewind it like 4 times. Like you would never see this in a purple jersey ever. And now you're just seeing some of the most elusive things. It's so exciting.
Yes, stick around at the end of the YouTube version of this episode. We will dive into the Jalen Reagor touchdown and the Jefferson pass across the field to Dalvin Cook.
Question.
I've probably watched that 20 times myself.
If I made a pie for our little breakdown session, is that like ridiculous?
Like an actual pie?
Yeah, like if I got a pie ready to go just to break down some of this film, does that make me fat?
Football.
I welcome the pie, dude. I think
I was thinking about it. Like if I have this thing set up perfectly to go off for like maybe the last 10 minutes of the show.
Dude, absolutely. I mean, if we're going to give our pie power rankings a few weeks ago, we'd be frauds to not actually eat pie once in a while during the show.
I know. Don't let me forget.
The Rock knows how you feel about pie.
I mean, how can you not? So yeah, you go do your thing later in this episode. If you want to bring, is it blueberry?
Blueberry, dude. It's go time.
Oh, let's get it. LFG. So here's the one thing that like people, I think rightfully so, people started freaking out a little bit when the Bears scored a bunch of points. And so the Vikings offense is averaging 1 point in the third quarter this season, which is like the first half, they're coming out hot, at least in a couple games.
What happened to your 4 minute thing?
It didn't work out very well in this. It didn't work out very well in this game.
Now you're going to the third quarter stat. I feel like you have another stat ready to go every time.
Well, but like they went into a lull, right? They came out hot. They probably should have won that game 42-10 or something. Easily. I get that you're playing professional. Like I get that team is being paid $200 million to scout you all week and stop you. It's a bunch of pros, but where I'm coming from here is if you're going to start hot like that, And then if the game gets weird, you're going to be able to buckle down and produce in the final half of the fourth quarter for a comeback or a game-winning drive like they have the last 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Those are the most important. I think they're going to figure the rest out, I guess, is what I'm saying. They've shown so many great signs, and like these fourth quarter comebacks are
incredible, right?
Like some people are bitching, like, well, they shouldn't have been in a close game. And I say, well, the NFL is full of close games. So you're going to be in close games, find a way to win them at the end, and they've done it 3 weeks in a row. So I guess I'm not as concerned about the lull. Should we be?
There comes a point where I think we do become concerned. This game was crazy, though, the way it started for the Bears. Like, they didn't do anything in the first half. Like, they just had the first play of the game was a delay of game. Remember that? And it was like they're already off to a bad start. But I will tell you this. Justin Fields went up in my book. He came out and he did some things. That pass to Mooney, Darnell Mooney, he was so lucky that he caught that. But that was kind of a spark for them. And then all of a sudden it was just Justin Fields running around a little bit. And that's kind of my thing for Donato. As a defensive coordinator, I love him to death. I do. He was with me in Frisco. I love him to death. Minuski, all those guys. Like, there's nothing I wouldn't do for those dudes. But I feel like every now and then, like when you have their foot on the gas pedal or on their throat, defensively, you have to just continue smearing them everywhere. Like, you have to put relentless pressure on them. And it just felt like at times Justin Fields was kind of having his way running around. Remember the touchdown? It seemed like out of nowhere, he just hit this another gear where he took off and the defense was kind of like, I don't know what to do now. I mean, that's another tricky situation, especially with that Tom Brady thing. Like, you see a quarterback running down the sideline, you're kind of like, what do I do? If you're a defensive player right now, are we even allowed to touch this guy? I don't even know what to do. Like, he ran 60 yards and everybody just stared at him like, are you going to slide? You're not going to slide. You're just going to continue to run. Like, they're looking at the refs like, are you going to stop him? Are we allowed to stop him? It's a gray area right now. We're going to talk
Maybe
about
he'll twist his ankle and just fall over. I don't know what's happening.
But, I mean, dude, they had a spark, and they came back. They fought back. He went up a little bit in my book. For the most part, this game was the Vikings all the way. They had a couple third downs where they got stopped a little bit, and then there was that fourth down where he threw that fade. Now, every now and then, there's some things that happen that I'm like, all right, what the hell was that? Right? Like, that was just so unplanned. And I felt like that was a little bit of Brandon Staley leaking into Kevin O'Connell. Like, listen, just go for it. Who cares? Stupid fourth down. Their offense sucks. Just do it. Right? You know,
Brandon Staley.
I'm going to tell you right now, you want to know what Brandon Staley says in that headset when they're like, are we going for it on fourth down? He's probably like, you're goddamn right there. We are. Their offense sucks. Let's do this.
Brandon Staley's got a coin that says go for it on both sides. And he just flips
it's like the two faces. He's just constantly messing with people. Listen, I got this, right? He doesn't care. Hey, do you see that Goldilocks we have over here? Do I look concerned? We're fine. We're going for it.
I'm generally team go for it. That was a weird play call on the one you're talking. I don't know if it was a play call or if it was just him throwing a weird pass, but
I think it was the weird pass that threw me off.
Yeah. Like, there's like 3 defenders down there, and there's got to be something shorter that you can find here.
But hey, that was another thing that I really enjoyed seeing was it seemed like there was always an outlet. Did you notice that? There's always somebody now waiting for Kirk. Like, hey, listen, if it's not there, and that was one of my things of like, they must be trying to get back to this quick timing. Hey, we're going to try and just keep changing it up week in and week out. Not only do we have these amazing formations, these amazing sets, we can put guys anywhere we want and we can do anything we want, but you're never going to know what kind of range we're looking for in the game until we get into the game. And maybe we start games like this from now on. Hey, we'll get Kirk onto a good path, couple quick throws. All of a sudden, the defense is like, hey, maybe they're not trying to take the top off. They start sucking up. Like, it's this whole chess match that you're always trying to play with people. And right now, Kevin, in my opinion, is sitting in a great spot because teams now are really going to look at him and go, now what are we going to do? I mean, he didn't really even have to take the top off the Bears, and he still destroyed them. I mean, it's just it was one of those things where it wasn't death by like big gunshot. It was kind of like, hey, we're just going to take what we can get. We're going to move the chains, and we're going to slowly just control this game. And then at halftime, we're going to walk in, laugh a little bit, come back out, eat an orange, and here we go again. I mean, just it didn't go like that in the third quarter, like you said. But in the fourth quarter, it switched back around where it was kind of like, okay, listen, this is us. Cameron Dantzler obviously makes a huge play, which thank God, because, man, that started to get a little scary for me somewhere in there.
There's nothing I love more than when your genius experienced eye test matches up with my nerdy statistics.
Football.
Don't pull out a PFF. Please, God, don't.
This is from some other website. But
Thank
you just
God.
said there it's kind of death by paper cuts almost. They're not. It's not like
amazing. That's my favorite though. That's my favorite because you know why? It's so harsh. There's nothing you can do. We've talked about this when you're that offensive dude watching like first down. Shit. First down. Oh my God. 3rd and 1, first down. Oh my God. Here we go. Like,
just
dude,
demoralizing. Yeah.
Somebody send a blitz. Somebody do so. Start a fight. I'm dying over here sitting on the sidelines getting yelled at for 12 hours straight over nothing. Pictures.
So the Vikings so far this season have the 2nd shortest average depth of target in the pass game, which means they're throwing short passes more than almost every team in the NFL. Now it's not people are going to be like, check down Kirk, right? It's not I don't you tell me. I don't think it's sometimes he's passing up things down the field. But it's not just a bunch of passes to C.J. Ham. A lot of it's scheme, right? It's if there's a like that pass to Jalen Reagor was actually behind the line of scrimmage. That it was a shovel.
Right.
I feel like it's built into they probably want some more stuff down the field, but it's so well designed, intermediate and short that they're carving teams without the deep shots right now.
So I'm concerned. What is everybody bitching about? You're 4-1. You're carving people up right now. This is a great place to be because, like I said, you have people starting to wonder, like, what is next? They haven't really taken these deep shot, deep throws, gone crazy like we thought they would. They're starting to get their old line back in sync. They're starting to get this run game in sync. They're starting to get this play action game in sync. If I was a betting man, I would be expecting another deep game coming up soon. Like, you eventually have to keep testing people and like. Stats, they sit where they are, and I'm not surprised that that's where they are because a lot of that too is like what's comfortable for Kirk. Where are we as an offensive line, play action wise? What are we hitting? What are we able to get out of it? How are we in the run game? Like, there's so many things that have to do with that. But in my mind, as I sit there, I'm like, dude, that is like the perfect plan for Kirk, right? As long as you have people that are just, hey, we're just trying to keep everything in front of us. Yeah, play that stupid game because eventually these playmakers are going to slip a tackle and it's going to be very dangerous.
On the offensive line front, Christian Darrisaw up against Robert Quinn for the better part of 3 hours on Sunday. Kicked his ass pretty good.
0-0-0, my dude. Yeah. And Ezra Cleveland, dude, that left side looks so tough right now. Right side's coming along a little shaky, but it's okay because you're the left side, so you can just slide to the right.
How much does it help to have a left tackle and a right tackle to just, all right, we've got these two. These guys are good. They don't need a lot of help. Does that help the rest? Like, to what extent does having a weak link or uncertainty at one of your tackle spots trickle into the rest? Because I feel like having Darrisaw just sort of set, hey, you can handle Robert Quinn. Yeah. All right, cool. Don't have to worry about it then. No, then we can kind of worry about, all right, then the guys in the middle can focus on their job. I mean,
totally. Did you not watch that Thursday night game? Did you not watch the Colts?
No, I was
that right tackle.
That was a disaster.
Did you see that guy look like a turnstile just the entire game, just spinning around and around and around and around like an idiot? You saw that guy, right? Yeah. Let me tell you how nice it is not to have that. Okay, You got a quarterback back there. Like, let me see. Where's one? No, there's two. No, not like that one either. Hold on, where's three? Dude, it's a whole new world. But you know what the problem is too? These coaches, they don't understand. They think it's just this. Oh, he'll eventually figure it out there. He'll do it. They don't chip enough. They don't help these guys enough. They don't sit and look at their protections and go, okay, where are we vulnerable? Where are we getting our quarterback hit? What is the problem? Why are we not getting this done? Like, KOC sees this, and this comes from the Sean McVay, and this is why I think Sean's going to start trying to figure out the Rams even quicker and start to like really hone in and stop messing around as much because they come from this tree of like, if there's a problem, we fix it immediately. And how do we fix it? We start throwing shorter routes. We start changing up our formations. We start getting smarter. We don't change who we are. We just become smarter than them. We don't need to throw these deep balls every other play. We'll just continue to throw these intermediate routes, and eventually one of them's going to bust, or eventually they're going to bust a coverage, right? While we're just trying to play football, something naturally on the defense is going to happen that they're going to screw up so bad that one of our guys like KJ Osborne or Adam Thielen's going to be running wide open, and that's when we'll strike. But it's this constant like, hey, we're going to be cool. We're cool. Eventually we'll take a shot here and there. But you know what? When the problems present themselves, we go back to what we know best. We get the ball out quickly. We get back to the run game. We throw a little play action into it. And then when we want to have fun, we start dicing it up with double passes, or we start throwing this Jalen Reagor shovel pass / zone. Like, it's just one of these things where it's like every now and then they'll sprinkle in this crazy thing that you're like, wait, what was that? What was that? Like the whole game, it just seemed like a nice flow, right? The formations were coming together. Everything's great. Bring them in, spread them out, bring them in. All of a sudden, silly play, you're like, whoa, rewind that. Even the defense is kind of like looking around like, what the hell just happened over here? I mean, this is what they do best. And that's why they're so fun to be around and watch. And that's why they're so innovative too, because they're not afraid to say, hey, listen, this isn't working anymore. Let's go back to the basics of it and we'll build off of that later. It's just one of these things where as a player, you can respect it because they're not like, well, that didn't work. It's your fault. Let's go back to the drawing board. Let's get even crazier. Let's do a triple pass now. You're like, oh my here we go.
Delvin throws it back across to Jefferson. Just defenders
Jefferson
just
throws
running
it back down the field. Like the whole defense is just sideline to sideline. You're like, look how amazingly smart I am. No, we're just gonna throw that stick route right there, real quick. Watch this. We got this. That's how we do, dude.
Before we and later on, we're gonna dive into these plays we're talking about here. Before we fire someone, you mentioned that. So you have been on teams with Ed Donatel on the other side of the ball. You said. Eddie
D, he's the man. He's a great guy. I love him.
And the Vikings defense is very cliche, but they're very bend don't break. They're giving up a ton of yards, but they're holding teams to field goals, and we'll see how sustainable it is. They're not getting a lot of pressure so far,
which is crazy to me.
Yeah.
Like, I don't
so
understand
what do you see with their defense? I guess.
I mean, I guess they just at times they look vanilla. Where it's like, listen, a lot of this league, if you look like, I'll give you a good example. Dallas with Micah Parsons. If you watch the way that they use Micah, it's like they don't even hide it. Yeah, here's our one-on-one. He's so damn good. We're going to let the entire world know. Like I'm watching film from Cincinnati to watch Cordell, and they got 6 dudes on the left side, and they got 1 guy on the right. And it's like, hey, we dare you. We dare you to try and do this guy one-on-one. And every time they do, they get beasted. They give up sacks. And at some point you're like, hey, listen, this is a new league. You have to get creative. You can't just twist the TT or the TE. And, you got to walk dudes up, throw them around. You have to have the offensive line talking, smacking their head, looking at their buddy like, are we doing this? Are you hearing me? Do you know what's going on today? When everyone's just up there and they're like, Rocco, Loco, Hole. You're not making it hard. You need these guys frantic up there talking like who's up, who's down. Like it's pretty easy. 99 is clearly one of our guys. 55 is one of our other guys. Like everybody else is just a big guy in the middle. And at some point you're like, man, just throw the sink at him, dude. Just go crazy. Like when you see the offense, and this is probably me being more like a lot of guys say I get super aggressive when we're up, which is a very common trait. But like we would be up and it would just be like, wouldn't you just want to see their offense get depleted? Like just see their quarterback on the ground a couple times as your offense is just pounding the ball down the field, airing it out, having a good time, laughing, high five, and you see their quarterback getting smeared from sideline to sideline, and they're just like, God, this sucks. But instead it was like they kind of had this hope, and then all of a sudden Justin Jefferson's dancing around, running around. It's like, dude, you guys are going to do this to yourself again. This is painful a little bit at times to watch. You know what I'm saying? You want to see this get put away in the halftime. You go in at halftime as an offensive player. You come out in the third quarter. You're like, what just happened? I thought we weren't going to Cowboy Jacks. What the hell happened?
Cowboy Jacks.
We're not going out tonight?
No Cowboy Jacks. No.
Hey, defense. What the hell, dude?
Guess we're going to Applebee's instead, but that's okay. So how would you I mean, I feel like I know Danielle Hunter's had some injuries, but he's not like 40 years old. He's 20. He's gonna be 28. How would you unleash him?
No, I wouldn't. I would just say, hey, continue to do what you do. I would just maybe at times I would just get a little more exotic. I don't know. I just love the creativity that I see from these defensive coordinators at times where even I look up there and I'm like, man, I don't know if I would have had enough time to figure out what was going on. There's guys walking around everywhere. There's guys doing everything. There's guys talking. There's a lot of that is just another layer of complexity that you're like, dude, I know what I'm supposed to know, but then all of a sudden you see it in real life and things start happening faster than they really do. And you get really confused fast. And then all of a sudden your count of 1 to 2 becomes, did he go inside? I'm not sure. Did he disappear? Did he drop? There's just so much that I'm seeing everywhere. And at times, like I said, as an offensive player, when your offense is just kicking ass, you want to be like, dude, put your foot on the gas, man. Send everybody. Have fun with this. Do things that you normally wouldn't do. Why? Because they're already flustered. They started a game with a delay of game. Let's see what else. Dude, they missed the TV false start. I mean, there's so many things that just go wrong in their favor, right? And all of a sudden you come back, you score again. It's like, okay, listen, now we really got to start putting the foot on the gas and we got to start giving it to them, because what's going to happen? They're going to make even more bad decisions. When their defense is getting derailed, their offense is going to start to panic. And when we put the pressure on them, oh man, that game would have been 60-0. You know it, and I know it. All right, maybe it would have been 60-3 because they kicked that field goal. But
yeah, they would have kicked a prideful field goal toward the end of the game.
Not a field goal.
Maybe the Vikings just need a creative defensive consultant. Somebody with some head coaching experience who's available right now and spend some time in Minnesota. Maybe get some double A gap innovation going. Do you want to fire someone's ass here?
Didn't they already fire him?
Yeah, they
fired the GM too for the Baker Mayfield trade? Like, oh, we got this. Wasn't Jimmy Garoppolo out there too? Like, they should have went with Jimmy. That's
the hilarious thing about so Matt Rule. Yeah, they couldn't even give us the courtesy of waiting another 24 hours so we could fire Matt Rule on this podcast. But by the way, dude, so you see what he's gonna get to sit out? Because it was a 7-year contract. Yeah. It's $40 million left.
Yeah, they paid him like $100 million. I remember when they signed him, I was like, who the hell is Matt Rule? And why the hell would anyone sign him to this much money?
7 years.
Wasn't he 11-30 as a coach? You know what? Y'all should be ashamed that you hire these people. It is so bad. Who hires these guys?
It's a good question because, like, how many? I think a lot of these coordinators that get hired fail, but he was a college guy that came up too, which probably makes it even harder for him, right?
Yeah. I mean, he didn't really have the best quarterbacks either, but that falls on you. You have every right to go in there and be like, hey, listen, I'm going to walk out that door if you don't go get this guy right now. I mean, dude, I'm not even going to say it. Go ahead.
Well, Matt Nagy went 12. Didn't he go 12-4 with Mitch Trubisky? Now he got fired eventually, but
yeah,
there's ways to win 10 or 12 games with.
Yeah, but that's only going to happen for one season. No, it's only going to happen for one season. Like, think about it. When those guys come in the league, you have one good year until someone's like, "Oh, I figured it out. Here we go." He's just not looking for a second read. Got it. Cover up the first.
Oh, he's just terrible, actually.
Right? Like, they're gonna find you quickly. If you beat them, they're in their room within 5 minutes watching everything. Like, how did they beat us? Show me everything. I want to know. Yeah. And then all of a sudden they figure you out, and then the second year you come back and you suck. It's how it goes. Unless you're some people that come out and claim you're supposed to be like 9 picks before you were, and then you never really do anything. Didn't he just get cut again too, Josh Rosen?
He did get cut. Who he was battling? Was it?
I'm never going to let him live that down. No,
were you teammates with him in Arizona?
No, God, no.
Yeah, he was like Trent Dilfer used to have. I think Trent Dilfer still does that Elite 11 high school quarterback camp that they used to televise like this whole.
I don't know if he's doing it anymore. Remember when he got in trouble for? Remember that was Phil Dawson's kid too that he pushed. I text Phil
on the sidelines.
Yeah. I was like, Phil, I'm picking sides right now. I got your back, dude. He's like, Boone, much love. Appreciate it. I'll call you.
But Josh Rosen was like arguing with Trent Dilfer. He was like a 16-year-old bratty kid, just like telling Trent Dilfer to go bleep himself at this high school showcase. And Dilfer's like, dude, first of all, like, I was in the NFL for 15 years. So think what you want about me, but like, I am here to help you. So relax.
Boy, I wish he would have listened a little bit more than bratty 16-year-olds.
Yeah. Do you have any other players you'd like to do little drive-bys of here? Josh Rosen? Anyone else you want to
throw? That was a serious drive-by. You know what? The more film I'm watching, the more I'm starting to have some drive-bys. I mean, some of this film is it's rough to watch, some of these games. I mean, dude, Pittsburgh, it's hard to watch Pittsburgh get destroyed like that. That's an old school team that I used to play that was like, they were ass kickers, dude. And now they're getting everything handed to them. And you're just like, dude.
When's the last time Pittsburgh finished with a legitimately bad record?
It's been a long time. And say what you want, but that team has been good for a long time. I mean, they might not have been winning Super Bowls, but when you were like Steelers, week 8, oh, God. All right, at least it's not week 12 because you knew they were just going to bring the thump, dude. They're just coming downhill. We don't care. We're defensively run, try and tackle Ben. Now you look at them, they just look like a different team. It's crazy how this – and then – the other thing is that Tom Brady sag, dude. That's
okay. Well, that's
garbage, dude. I'm going to tell you.
That's
who
I want to fire. That's who I want to fire.
All right,
not Tom Brady.
Here we go.
All right. So you had the lineman was Grady Jarrett. and he breaks through Falcons defensive lineman. And he looked like a pretty standard tackle. He wraps up Tom Brady, and he kind of, and by the way, you're running full speed because you're trying to get to the quarterback within like 2.5 seconds.
It's coming around the edge. You got to be quick.
So he gets there, and I thought he actually did a pretty good job of not killing Tom Brady. Like he kind of wrapped him and kind of took him down gently and like hugged him to the ground. And so after the game, Jerome Boger, who was the head official here, he was asked by a reporter, what are you doing, guy? What was that 15-yard penalty all about?
What are you doing, guy?
And Jerome Boger says, quote, what I had was the defender grabbed the quarterback while he was still in the pocket and unnecessarily threw him to the ground, Boger said. That's what I was making my decision based upon.
Rome. You got to go. I used to love when he used to ref the games. Super nice guy. Great guy. Used to call him Rome. That was the worst call I've ever seen in my life. And I think that if I remember correctly, that was at the time in the game where they were like just gaining momentum offensively on Atlanta. And it was like 15-21. It was third down. They ran that twist. He comes around the edge, sacks him. It's about to be fourth down. They're going to punt the ball. And then they got a first down. I have never been so mad for a defensive lineman. Because not only did he barely throw him down, but he didn't even hit his head. Did you see that? He didn't even hit his head.
Yeah, it wasn't the two, because there was a follow-up question by the reporter saying, hey, was this like a point of emphasis after the Tua thing?
Of course it was.
And Boger said, no, that wasn't really on my mind, although it probably was, right?
He's a lie. And that's another thing. Don't lie about it. Just be honest. Yeah, it is. All right, we all just saw a guy get his brains knocked in. We're not going to let it happen again. But at the same time, you have to have some discretion. Like if a guy's coming around the edge, and I hate this new thing where like the minute you whip the quarterback down, it's an instant flag. At some point, even I stand there like, how are you supposed to hit this guy?
Yeah.
How are you supposed to do anything? Because eventually what you're going to start doing is have these D linemen just start teeing off on us. Like they're just going to start like, hey, listen, we can't hit them, but we can hit these guys. Let's just start taking their knees out. We'll start taking their hips out. We'll start going after them. So they have to start bringing in their backups. And then all of a sudden the game's going to get different. Like eventually the defense will get smart enough. And it's to the point to where I get what happened with Tua, and it was really messed up. There's a lot of people that are going to have to pay for that. But this is the other side of it. Like if something like that happens and everybody goes drastically to the other side, and now it's like, dude, you're costing people games. You're pissing people off now. That could have been a game that goes the other way. And that could have been one of those games that you look back in like December and been like, how the hell did they do that? This is the one game that's stopping Tampa from getting in that game. I remember that game. Oh, man, Grady Jarrett had that sack. No, he got called back. Refs suck.
It reminds me, remember when Anthony Barr tackled Aaron Rodgers at US Bank Stadium. He sacks him, breaks his collarbone because he landed with all of his body weight on Rodgers. And by the way, Packer fans are still chapped about that.
Oh my God! What are you supposed to do? Oh, he put all his weight on the quarterback.
Well, dude, so Rodgers is rolling out to his right. He sees Barr coming. Like, get rid of the football. Whatever. It was a bang play.
Wait, how about you're playing football? Don't you have pads on too, old man? My God. He probably got up, started pointing at the receiver. It's your fault. It's your fault. You did this to me. Rookie. Hey, what if you just saw him on like going on the cart, like yelling at everybody as he went by? Your fault. It's your fault. Oh, don't worry, guys. He's like this every week.
But maybe it was the next season when they emphasized, they tried to figure, okay, so we don't want star quarterbacks getting hurt that way. So now let's try to legislate if a guy lands on a quarterback with nearly all of his body weight. So now our referees have to like judge, measure, and this is a fast game. These guys are.
Remember who got messed up in that? It was Clay Matthews.
Remember
he tackled Kirk Cousins in that game? Oh, dude, I'm telling you, we will never forget these because this is how people ruin the league. People have literally put their dirty fingers in here and been like, you can't hit him. You can't hit him. You can't hit him. You're like, dude, who am I supposed to do? Like, as an O-lineman, you can't cut block anybody anymore. And then it's at the same time, you're like, dude, how am I supposed to block these guys? They're so fast at times. That's how we relied on it. Like, hey, I'm not going to get this guy. Cut him. Got it. That's simple.
Dude, you're telling these defensive players, and on one hand, I like that players are generally, quarterbacks are healthy, and I get to watch quarterbacks on Sunday night. But on the other hand, you're telling 270, 290-pound freak athlete machines who are running full speed, hey, as you're running full speed, You got to be really nuanced about how you make this play.
Judge how hard you hit him, because if you hit him
51%
hard,
or less of your body
you
weight.
can't land on him. Don't land on him if you hit him hard. But if you don't hit him hard, maybe put a little more on him. It's going to get worse.
And by the way, if you're Grady Jarrett and you break through, you have, because there was one play from 2008, and this, Tom Brady 2008 against the Chiefs, and a lineman comes crawling in and dives right into his knee, takes him out for the season.
Yep.
So that was a real change. So you can't do that. You can't go high, because if you brush his helmet, it's going to be 15 yards.
You
rightfully
touch
so.
his helmet, it's 15 yards. That's crazy.
So you have two choices. You can try to go through him above his knees, but below his helmet, and just go through him.
Dude, that window looks like this on game day. It looks like this big.
Yeah. Or you can.
I don't know if I'm fitting there, buddy.
Or you can do what they're doing now, which is like, let's run kind of through him, but let's wrap him and do it this way. But the consequence of that is you might springboard his head off the ground as you roll through.
You know what they're going to do? They're going to make him go two-hand touch. Just watch. If I get two hands on you, it's over. That's what the defense is going to start coming back to say, like, hey, listen, if we can't touch him, then it should just be two hands. Two hands, he's done. It's going to turn into flag football, dude. They're doing it.
Would you rather do two-hand touch or flag? You'll only have two choices. In 10 years. In
flag.
10 years, you
know
only
why?
have two.
I learned that flag football is so elusive, because you can start to shake those flags a little bit and get them flying in the wind. There were some kids that I've coached that were really good with like dipping the hips and stuff. I was like, man, these kids are good stuff.
Can you imagine, what was it, that Buffalo-New England game where it was like 50-mile-an-hour winds and New England ran the ball 70 times? The flags are just blowing straight
out the back. Dude, the quarterbacks are eventually going to have to wear flags. I'm serious. Like, hold on, let me put your flag back in. Hold on. Ah, damn, stuck in the cold.
I wish you were fully kidding, but I mean, at some
sad
point,
how serious I think it might become.
And isn't it fair, because we've had a lot of really ugly primetime games, and some of the ugly primetime games have included Hall of Fame quarterbacks like Russell Wilson, but the league's entertainment for the masses of fans is largely based around 12 to 15 quarterbacks. That if you took those 12 to 15 quarterbacks out, if you took Patrick Mahomes out and you took Justin Herbert out and Russell Wilson in his prime and Lamar Jackson and replaced them with backups because they're hurt, right?
It'd be horrible.
It's not watchable.
I would cry.
So the league is saying we need to do everything we can to make sure that those 15 guys are on the field all the time, especially in the primetime games. Because if they're not, we're not going to get 20 million eyeballs on a Sunday Night Football game. So
yeah, but then I feel like the opposite is when you do that, you make the game not the game anymore. It's not fair anymore to anybody. And believe me when I say I don't even really care if life is fair, but that's just not fair, because you're telling the defense, hey, I want you to pin up all your aggression and pin your ears back for this one dude. But when you get there, you stop. Even if you get pushed into him, you somehow fall to the side. Like, you just, whatever you can, don't touch him. You can see the guys that obviously don't care. There's still guys that get hit all the time for roughing the quarterback, and they're like, listen, I just don't care. I'm going to hit this dude regardless. And it's to some degree, I don't blame them. They're like, yeah, great, 15 yards, you're going to find me, but that guy will never forget me again. And the next time I come around this edge, I bet he'll be remembering me.
You know, I've also wondered too with these plays. I don't want more reviews necessarily.
That's what they should do.
But you should be able to, if there's a play late in the game, it's a perceived face mask or a perceived roughing the passer or something.
Don't do it. No.
And
don't
I have a challenge left.
Don't.
Why not?
You can't open that door. Once you open the door, it never closes. Once you go, hey, listen, we're just going to use this. The last 2 minutes, everything's reviewable. Boom, that door's open. It's open this much, but you let them know, hey, now next year we're going to say, hey, within 4 minutes, we're going to look at everything. And then the next year it's going to say, hey, listen, in the 4 minutes of the first half and the second half, we're going to look. Like, you just
what if it was just 15-yard penalties?
No. You should never be able to really go back and look at anything. It should be, that's how it is. It's the game. I mean, there's some things that I get that you have to kind of go back and look, because like the tuck rule, there's some things where you're like, dude, this is a huge moment where we need to make sure that we're pretty sure about what's going on here. But now I feel like you can just look at everything. Like remember when they could do the PIs and everybody
for 1 year, right? They reviewed.
Yeah, remember everybody was like, let's do the PI thing. Remember how bad that was?
They barely overturned any of them, but they reviewed, however many.
The league was like, this was a bad idea. How are we going to justify one PI from another without even? And now look how ridiculous it is. You can't even touch a receiver. And if you do, the yellow flag is everywhere. And that's another thing where I feel like the game gets slowed down and kind of like you start to mess with the flow. Like you just see these holding flags or illegal contact, or you're just like, dude, how could there ever be illegal contact in football? It's grown men running around 100-yard field with full pads on.
You can't jam a receiver 20 yards down the field.
Hey, in your barbarian sport, you shouldn't be able to shoulder check a guy before he goes out for a route. Why? Because it's unfair. That's why. What sense does that make? Hey, you can go kill the fat guy, but you can't touch the skinny guy. What?
So in your perfect NFL, you would be able to you could check a receiver 15 yards down the field. Just deal with it.
No, but I think that there are
I'd be curious to see what that looks like. Then we'd see who really can get separation, right?
No, I think that there are some things where you know that there's egregious, like if a guy gets held and he can't move his arms to catch a ball, okay, yeah, dude, you're holding him. But there are times where they have him by the shoulder and you're like, you know what? Crafty. That dude is sneaky. Good for you, buddy. You should get away with that. Like, I have no problems with that. It's just football. Everybody's grabbing everyone. Everyone's touching everyone. And then everyone gets mad about it. And you're like, what the hell is everyone supposed to do? I don't know. And you know, sometimes these refs, they get a little too into the game and every other play is illegal contact or defensive holding. And you're like, dude, this can't be every game forever. I can't watch this.
The Vikings, by the way, on offense they had, I think, 3 offensive holding penalties in this game. It was the first offensive holding penalties that they've had this season. They went the first 4 games with no holding penalties.
Yeah. No joke. This is
pretty amazing.
They're coming around and that left side looked incredible in the game. The right side's still got a little figuring out to do, but for the most part, and the duo play I love. Like I said, I love when you run duo because you just force everybody to bow up real quick and you give the ball to a back who is actually a duo style back. It's not one of these true zone runners that doesn't know how to run straight ahead and then make one cut and go, you know. You see Dalvin run this, and it is so fun to watch because you know that if he catches that edge and that cornerback gets sucked in at all, just a little bit, he's got that burst to beat him out. I mean, dude, it's such a fun play to watch. And it's a fun play to block up, too, because you can never be wrong. They're literally like, just step to your left, step to your right. Someone's going to hit you. You take that guy. It's that simple. You're like, all right, this is easy.
We'll try to dig up some run plays, too, from the last couple weeks in our future film reviews. We're going to get to 2 key plays here from this last game in a second, and you're going to go get a pie, I think, at some point as well.
I don't know if it's ready. My wife said it's not ready.
Okay. Well, if it is ready during the show, you just tell me. You just leave, and I will cover for you.
With this Electrolux.
So be careful out there.
It's time now. Pies, that's what that is.
It's time now for the dumb football question of the week here, where I ask a dumb question, and Professor Boone answers it to the best of his ability. And this one comes in from listener Zach Satterfield via the Score North app, where you can always send in dumb football questions or anything for our Feedback Friday shows. He says, this is actually perfect for you because you've actually lost offensive lineman weight and then put it all back on for your comeback and then took it all off. He says, how does the diet of an offensive lineman change during the season versus the off season? These guys in the NFL are big enough to have weather patterns and their own zip code. But then you see retired guys lose like 100 pounds a year after retirement.
So what's the question?
So he's asking, what is an offensive lineman's diet in season versus off season? And then he's also curious about
like right now,
the guys who lose 100 pounds like you did after your career is over.
Dude, the food in the season is incredible. It is, without a doubt, some of the best you can eat. And then there's like, the answer is never no. I remember when I was in Minnesota, there was always Chicken Wing Wednesday. And it would always suck because Wednesday was like the bow up day. And lunch was right before practice, but I didn't care. I was like, dude, whatever. I'm going to get some of these. And dude, they used to have this one flavor. It was like apricot. And it was so good. And we got into a big fight one day because everyone was like calling them apricot. You know, they're apricot wings. And then Fusco was like, no, they're apricot. And everyone was like, you're an idiot, dude. Like, and he was like, dude, I swear to God, it's apricot. And so we had a big fight and it ended up being apricot. So
it's apricot?
Yeah, like we had to look at Siri. I still don't know if I trust Siri, but technically Fusco won that fight. But
it's possible Fusco had like some sort of foreign accent on his Siri.
Believe me, I've thought about this for years, and I've been trying to fight people about it, and they're with me on it. But the food in season is always incredible. I mean, you're eating all day: breakfast, lunch, dinner. You go on the road, there's food everywhere. You go anywhere, there's food everywhere. You go in at halftime, there's food everywhere. I mean, there's just food constantly. It's good food too. It's great. But then in the off season, it just depends. Like there's some guys that you see that balloon up out of control. They just don't work out. They don't take care of themselves. A lot of the guys obviously have to stay eating somewhat healthy, but I think a lot of guys now have learned how to manage staying healthy and still kind of having fun, going to Vegas, doing things like that. But as soon as you're done, I mean, it's hard to sit into a doctor's office when he's like, hey, you need 2 brand new knees, a couple rods in your back. You're going to need it now when you're 45, when you're 55, like you're going to need all these things. Or you could just lose all this weight. Okay, well, I certainly don't want to do that. And so I'm just going to lose all this weight. But I'll tell you what, dude, it's hard being big your whole life and then being thin. Like it is really hard because I'm used to just like running into things. And now when I don't, I'm like, what's wrong with me anymore? It feels so weird and I don't like it. So I got to go back up to like 305 or something.
What are you now?
250.
And what was your peak playing weight?
325.
Okay. But you're like, I mean, but you're doing like, we talked about it a few weeks ago, like Ironman stuff. I mean, you're like, some guys lose weight and they're just, living their lives. You're like training hardcore in addition to, I'm guessing, eating clean too, right?
Yeah, but it's, I mean, I don't want to do it anymore at 250. I feel like I kind of cheated the Ironman system because I don't know. Have you ever heard of Daryl Haley? Daryl Haley was the first O-lineman to ever run a triathlon, like an Ironman. He was like 295 pounds when he ran it. And so when I saw that, I was like, because they said I was like the second, I was like, man, I can't run it at 250. I got to go back up to like 300 pounds and run one. That's the only way to do it. It would be to be back at my fighting weight and be like, all right, now I'm here. And it was weird because when I show up at these, they look at me like, dude, you're like 150 pounds bigger than everybody. And I can't imagine adding on another 50 pounds. They're going to be like, dude, you're going to die. It's gonna be so fun.
Do you have was it hard for you to put on NFL weight to get up to 325, or was your frame, because I feel like there's some guy, I mean, Bradbury is probably one of them that people talk about where he's like kind of naturally 275, 280 and has to work to keep his weight up in the NFL.
How hard do you really have to work anymore with all the supplements and nutrition that everybody knows about? But right now you can get a blood test and they'll tell you exactly how easy it can be for you to gain weight. I think a lot of it just becomes how dedicated are you? Like when I was training, my mentor was huge into nutrition. So he was constantly like, hey, listen, this is what we're going to do this year. We're going to do this type of diet. It's going to be strictly this. Got it. And as we got older, the carbs went way down. The food went way up. But it was like, as long as you're eating steak, chicken, fish, stuff like that, you should gain weight. You should be fine. You should be pumping weight all day. I think that's the hardest thing that people don't know is eventually it takes a toll on your body. And mentally, you're like, dude, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. Like you're just beat up all the time and you're this big burly dude and your knees are crushed all day. And you're like, man, I got to continue to push this heavy weight all day. Cause the thought of like guys like Aaron Donald are in the back of your mind, JJ Watt, Gerald McCoy at the time. Like these guys were always in like these magazines and constantly doing these workouts that you were like, how am I going to keep up with these guys? And I got to stay big and I got to stay fit. And it's just, dude, it takes a big toll on your body. But I think the one thing is cool is, and maybe this is a lot of people can attest to this, but the minute you get stuck in that lifestyle, once you're out of it, you're still kind of in it. You know what I'm saying? Like you're still always watching what you eat. You're still always working out. You're trying to stay fit. You're always trying to be running around and wild and outside and having fun. So, I mean, it's kind of fun that you just so like ingrained in you to be like that. But dude, when you're playing, there are times in the summer where you're like, what am I doing? I'm 30 years old and I'm running around on a football field. It's 120 degrees. I look like an idiot. I'm sweating my ass off. And there's a 21-year-old that's passing me up every time. What am I doing?
Yeah. I mean, I can't imagine too, if you don't, you seem to love it like enough to like go back to it, but and we've talked about this before too, but if you're someone who doesn't love it as much and you're out there, it would just seem like torture in the summertime.
And there's a lot of guys that act like it's torture too. And you're like, dude, I just can't be around you right now because there were so many times that you would remember like 15 years old. You're like, oh, I can't wait to play in the big show. And then all of a sudden you're like, I'm in the big show. This is incredible. And yeah, at times you don't want to say yes. And you want to be like, no, I'm going to sit this day out. But they're looking at you to be like, are you that guy that you said you thought you were? I'm like, yeah, I'm that guy. Let's do it. And you look back and you're like, man, that was incredible. And some of the guys that you get to meet along the way and some of the guys that like pushed you and that you can say where you were in a huddle with this guy when he had an inspirational moment. And you're like, yeah, I may have wet my pants a little bit, but it was every bit of incredible. Okay, let me tell you something. I would do it again.
You want to break down some plays here?
You don't. I know you don't.
All right. Let's
Ready.
so we
Show
took
me what you got.
You guys gave us, the audience, great feedback last. First of all, everyone loved it. You breaking down film. I'm going to pull this up. This is, if you're listening on Spotify or Apple or the Score North app here, this is where you probably want to pause the audio and go to the YouTube version of this about 50 minutes in. And we're going to show you a couple plays here. We're going to start with all 22. This is the Vikings in the red zone at the 2-yard line, and this is the Jalen Reagor shovel pass touchdown here. But just real quick before we go through some of this stuff, and I'll turn it over to you for your expertise. In the future, we're going to find a way for Alex to run this. I'm running it right now because we're just sort of testing out some production stuff. But for you to be able to eventually run this and mark it up, and then I'll just sit here like an idiot and ask you questions. But for now, I'm going to kind of run it, and you will tell me what to do. But we're working on how to make this the best possible thing for the audience here on the Purple Daily YouTube channel. So, how do you want? Do you want to run the play in full first here, and then you want to just walk through it? It's up to you.
Well, before we run anything, let's just take a quick note at this offense. Is there anything that jumps out to you right away
about the offense?
Yeah.
Alex Madison's pink shoes look just fantastic here. His style is impeccable.
Notice how everyone's on one side of the screen right now? Everybody's on their left, our right. Mm-hmm. And I know nobody can see this, but we got Irv Smith outside of Justin Jefferson, who's right outside of Jalen Reagor. And then we have Alexander Madison, and they're all on the left side, right? So instantly, as I'm on a defense, I'm thinking, okay, what the hell is going on this side right here, right? Like maybe we got a little roll going on.
And Thielen's the only guy covering the right tackle on the other side, but otherwise everyone else is over.
Yeah, my bad. So we got something going on over here, right? Something big is over here, but then go ahead, play it.
Okay, we'll just kind of run it slow here.
This is so fun. This is so fun to me.
This is one of my favorite. I mean, there was like 3 or 4 incredible plays on Sunday, but
right. So now we got Irv Smith in a Y fly going across. And we got some talking. We got some people talking. We got some people moving, right? Now they're starting to think what's going on. We're balanced up. We're 2x2. This looks good. Generic. Oh, we got a little double count. Oh, I like this. Changing up the count. We talked about this last week. Oh, what are we doing? Alexander Madison's moving over. Now look at the defense. See how the defense starts to panic a little bit? See them? See 58? See how fast he jumps out of here? He doesn't know what's going on because you know what they're notorious for running in this offense? These bubble sweeps, right? All of a sudden we send a guy in motion the other way, but he just runs this
So 58 runs from, all right, so
middle of the field.
Just like on the edge of the hash here, and he's in the box, right? And Madison simply shifts just on the other side of Kirk, and 58 runs all the way outside here. It's interesting.
Can't get out leveraged. Cannot get out leveraged. And that's why I find this so incredible because this is the perfect play. It's like 58 knows, hey, listen, we can't get out leveraged by anything over here, right? Go ahead.
Okay.
53 starts to balance up. He's like, okay, now I really got the mic position by myself. Snap the ball. Everybody's like, oh, great, simple zone. Dude, this simple flick by Kirk. See that move right there? And I know that people that can't see this, it's like this simple flick. As soon as he catches it, he just flicks it to Reagor, but this fake right here, right? It's so beautiful because at the same time, there's people back here that don't know who has the ball. And look, 3 guys are in one spot at the same time. Look at that. There's only one ball, but there's 3 guys that could be holding it. And that's why these plays become so fun because it's like we're going to give you just enough rope to hang yourself. Now, he could cut up right here, and I think he'll score. I don't think 4 has the nuts to catch him. But what I love is how he makes 58 miss.
This is actually kind of amazing when you freeze frame this. I was telling you this before the show.
Yeah.
I see this, and this is an amazing play and play design. But right here, it kind of looks like, wow, so you got 4 Bears defenders, and poor Irv Smith's out here kind of on and Thielen's out wide with a quarterback.
Hey, don't hate on her, Irv. Look at him.
He is doing. Irv had a good game. Yeah,
hey, you're doing good. But look,
Jalen Reagor's he's got to make someone miss here.
First
still,
of all, go back. You know how I know 58 is not going to make this? Wait, go back. Go forward. He steps up. Right. Watch this move right here. Look at that. You see his arms go way out. We call that the airplane. Go back. You're not tackling anybody like that, dude. This ain't Pop Warner. Look at come to me. No.
Look at him. Oh, I think he blew both ACLs on this play. Oh, man.
And everyone's like, oh, I thought he was going to have it. Dude, I knew right away. As soon as he brought those arms out, I was like, dude, there's no chance. This is a walk-in.
Also, if you go back here, I want to know your thoughts on. So 55 here, 55 hand in the dirt, just across from Brian O'Neill. So O'Neill ignores him. O'Neill's trying to get up to block 53 here, I believe. And so 55 is coming off the edge here with a chance to blow this play up, I guess.
You're hoping that, number one, you're hoping that he doesn't see Jalen Reagor, which clearly he doesn't, because look, see how slow it takes him to get back. See, like, watch. If he saw Jalen catch this ball, he'd stop right now, but he's not.
Yeah. He's paying attention to Madison, probably.
There's
right?
so much going on in front of him right now. This is like kind of the illusion of like you can do a couple things in front of a guy before he'll even figure it out. Yeah. But yeah, they're going to 53 because if you go back, look, they're pushing it to 6. You have to push it to him because if he comes off the edge, he's one of these guys that could catch Jalen Reagor off the edge. So if he were to come, you have to send Darisaw to him.
So who's going to 6 here?
6 is going Bradbury. See how he's pushing through 90 to 6. And this is one of those things where go back last week, we talked about how remember how I said a couple of the guys turn too much? This is one of those instances when you're pushing, you can do this because you're going so far that you're kind of trying to create this track, but I'd still like to see him go through more. But even Brian O'Neill here, go ahead and play it. It's a great job getting down, collecting him. There's a lane right there. Like even if this ball gets handed, I think 55 would still kind of be in the sputters. Now, if you have Delvin back there, it doesn't matter who has the ball.
Do all of these offensive linemen know exactly which hat they're going to on defense, or is it all kind of a feel?
No.
Okay.
No.
So they all know exactly who they're going to.
Of course. The only time they never don't know is there was a play that every team has that's called spot, and you go to the spot. And always when the spot play, if you go back here, like if you go back to the original front before this right here, stop it. If you were to go spot right here, you would say like, hey, we're running, I don't know. Alexander's over there. So you're running 36 spot, right? You're going to send the center to the front side spot, 58. You're like, hey, no matter what, no matter who is here, we're going to this spot, which means the backside, Ezra Cleveland and Darisaw have the next spot, no matter who they are. And sometimes we would do this against buzz coverages because you would look up and 58 would be where 9 is right now. And 53 would be like where 6 is. And you'd be like, there's no way they're doing this. Now, you obviously wouldn't see a buzz coverage down here this low because the safety is already super tight. Okay. But it'd be like in the middle of the field and there'd be a big empty void. And you would be so big that you'd be like, there's no way that no one's playing this. And that was another time to be like, hey, we're going to call this spot because we don't know who's going to show up there, but somebody's going to be in this spot.
And that would be the defense is trying to disguise what they're doing till the last second.
You know who did that a lot was Seattle when they had Cam Chancellor because Cam could play that middle linebacker role and play the safety role. But
dude, this is cocaine here. This
right?
is football.
I know. And this is what's fun too is like, 55 might be a hell of a player, but you put him on an island by himself with 3 guys in one spot, and all of a sudden everything just becomes totally wonky, right? Like you're like, dude, I don't know what happened, coach. Somebody had it.
It really is. It's the illusion of complexity, is what Kevin O'Connell said, right? Okay, this next one. Speaking of the illusion of complexity, so we've got this is the TV footage here, and it's zoomed out pretty well, so you can see most of the all 20. It's not like the behind the line angle here, but I think you can talk us through this pretty well.
3rd and 10, not expecting this at all. I'm just going to say, if it were 2nd and 10, I'd be like, I'm a little more expecting it because you always have the ability to come back with a 3rd and 10 play. But this is kind of what we talked about before with Kevin O'Connell having his balls drop. Like, this is what's so fun about these offenses. They're not afraid to get crazy. And at first, I got to be honest with you, when I first saw this, I see this press coverage over here, right? Like, you got this cover 1. And as soon as he went to go catch this ball and Justin went back, I thought it was going to be the fake where they fake the smoke and either KJ or Irv take off on a go route because they're always taught to go block these two. Yeah, those 2 guys are always taught to block 1 and 2, right? And then you'd send Darisaw out to block 3, and then the guard always has 4, and that's your count. Well, then we run a fake off of it where you fake the smoke because these guys run up right away, and then one of these guys runs a go, and that's what I thought this was. But let me tell you, I was pleasantly surprised.
The other thing
saw
here,
this bad boy.
Tony, this is also, so it's a 3rd and 10, and they're kind of on the edge of field goal range. And so if this play blows up, it's a disaster or something. You might get pushed maybe you're probably still kicking like a 50, 3-4 yard field goal or something. But let's
have some balls to throw this one, dude. I'm serious.
So I'll run this. You talk us through this here. I'll run a little bit here. So go ahead.
Like the defense is getting a little exotic there, isn't it? Oh my goodness. Wrong play to get exotic, right? No, this is great.
Yeah, so they're sending. So defense has 4 guys down.
So listen, this defensive player right here, this covers 0. We used to call this hey diddle diddle 3 in the middle, and they have nobody protecting them, right? Like you see the 2 guys pressed up over here. This safety over here really has Irv over here. Because as you see when they snap, see how he runs down, he's looking down, I'm looking down, what am I doing? They all start running down, throws it to JJ. And at first I'm like, man, he is really deep. What's he doing? He takes a step up, everyone goes, and he throws it back over here.
Let's count Bears hats here, by the way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 Bears hats all running toward that side of the field.
There's one guy over here getting mauled by 4 linemen on the other side of the field that you can't see because there was always one guy that was like, where's everyone going? It's a double pass. Look at it. Hey, the best is this guy right here in front of Kirk. Oh, God. Oh, it's like, I'm not doing a thing. Hey, by the way, have you noticed he's been wearing these white socks? I love them. I do.
It is pretty. Like, look at these. This is a good look for him here. He's got like the skinny, the very minimal purple showing right there too on the side.
Don't show any purple. Beat you, bro. All right.
So it comes back across
Brian
the
O'Neill, stop it before you start it. I hate to do this to him. We got one guy over here walking. You got Bradbury with his hand on his back, like, dude, let's do this. Okay, come on, get going. You got the rookie over here, like, guys, what are we doing? He's literally like, you're not next to me. You're supposed to be over here. And Brian O'Neill, and when I first saw this, I go, look at this dude. He's going to decleat him. He doesn't even touch this guy. Brian, shame on you. You should have cut him. You should have. Look.
So what he's worried? Is he worried about this being a penalty? Would this be a crackback potentially?
No, it would be a cut. You can't cut outside the tackle box anymore.
So he just has to set a basketball screen here, basically.
Dude, you just got to go lunge at him.
He kind of reaches his arm out here. If you look, watch this.
Any airplanes?
Here comes the arm right here.
Look at this. You completely missed it. Oh my God. Dude, these 3 guys out in front, I got so excited. This rookie running made me laughing, though. I don't know why.
So look at this right here. So Dalvin Cook catches this pass.
He should score, by the way.
Look how screwed the Bears are right now. You've got almost 1,000 pounds. Yeah, let's call it 900 pounds right here of a wall.
Way to bring us down, Bradbury.
And then over here you got Darisaw, who's kind of he's just.
Darisaw's like, I forgot.
I was gonna say 1,000 pounds, but Bradbury's in the mix. So, yeah.
I thought it was smoke screen shit. Yeah. Dude, how does he not score? Rookie, go left.
So what should happen here?
And
this is a big gain, but how does this
Irving,
become a touchdown?
it's a huge gain. It's a great play. It's a great play. I love it. Don't get me wrong.
So you're looking at Ingram right here?
Ingram's over here looking, and if I was a coach, I'd just be like, hey, listen, look to your left. This is where all the guys are coming from. Thielen's fine. You're looking too much over here. Go to your left. Dude, Thielen's a good blocker.
He is.
And that's why I would tell him, don't worry about Thielen. He's going to be fine. And the best thing he could have done was probably run him off even more.
God, so if Ingram just jams his body
to the
left into 99 and 58 right here, you
can't cut him either, which kind of sucks. And this is why like cutting in the open field used to be so much better for screens because you would just completely level everybody, but now they're making everybody stay up. So it's kind of leveled the playing field a little bit. But that was one of those plays where it was the perfect time in the game too. And that's one of the things you can never talk about is like when the flow of the game is just so like, oh man, they're just death by paper cuts. And then all of a sudden you see this and you're like, okay, never mind. Here came a haymaker out of nowhere.
This is just glorious. And then you see, what would we count? We counted 9 Bears helmets on the other side of the field. Yeah. And so Dalvin catches this pass and I'm going to run this slowly here for the audience. Watch the panicked Bears defenders all out of breath, right? They ran all the way over here. It's a long drive. They're running back over here. And so he gets to run. As long as he just keeps going straight up the field here too, right? And all these Bears have to run even further Because if Dalvin cuts to the left at any point, which he wouldn't because he's smart, then he's cutting the angle for these Bears defenders. So this was just, God, it was just a perfect play, dude.
And
at some point, can I ask you another dumb question here? If you go back to the beginning here, all right? So we can't see the whole field, but we know that Adam Thielen's over there somewhere on the right. You can see him at the bottom screen.
Yeah, he runs him off.
At some point, so this was brilliant. They had the screen action drawn up to the right here. But at some point, couldn't you do the same thing, but send Thielen back across the wave over here, but deeper, right? Maybe it's like out this way, and have this be kind of all of a sudden now Justin Jefferson with the defenders all coming up here. So watch the defenders, and this is just my idiot amateur football fan opinion. Couldn't this be a deep pass at some point? Look at all these guys coming all the way up.
Absolutely.
This is this number 9 back here. Look at me right now, just all excited. This is the only guy back deep, right? You run this action. Thielen gets
really
by his defender here. If he goes back in across the field behind where this defender is, couldn't that be a touchdown pass at some point later in the season?
Absolutely. I mean, you could even do it where here's what you got to do, though. Remember, don't be too obvious, right? Like, obviously, everyone's going to see the minute the next time you throw it out to Justin Jefferson, this safety is going to go straight to the left because he's going to be thinking double pass, right? Like, they're going to be expecting something over here. Say maybe you wait a couple games, right? You throw one of these out here just to prove that you can throw the smoke screen and he can run it. Then you come back. But you don't do it with Thielen. Why? Because that's too obvious. Dude, everybody would be like, oh, Thielen. You run Irv Smith. Wait, he throws it here. Wait. No. Throw it.
So back it up
here.
here.
No. Play.
Okay.
Throw it here, right? There's my man Irv. He's just chilling. I'm blocking. I'm here to block. No matter what, I got to block. Block.
But there's no one back here right now.
But wait. Back. Play. He keeps going. I step. I throw it to Justin. He takes a fake step. He throws it back this way. And then all of a sudden, as he throws it, I see everybody start to run the other way. What do? I just run the simple fade up. And then all of a sudden, maybe you have Dalvin throw it across. I mean, there's so many things you can do with that. But I feel like if you did do that double pass again, they would be looking for Thielen too. Because that would be like the next – they would expect that to be the next thing. Are you ever going to come back to this? I mean, dude, I don't know. I'm sure this was such a low-level play in their playbook. Like, guys, let's just give them something little to dangle. We'll just dangle a little bit of carrot out there in front of them. These idiots, they'll go crazy. They'll go crazy. They don't even know what we're about to do.
Man, I also had like the three. I'll save some. There's some stuff from even like the Saints game. We can stockpile some stuff and do it in future weeks here. But I mean, the Vikings busted out that kind of trickeration. We had to dive into.
No, there's no question.
For those two glorious.
This is what we've been asking for. I think that's what everyone's been asking for.
Football.
Like, use these players the way that God meant them to be used. Just go crazy. It's like you having a Lamborghini. You don't just want to go out there and sputter out every once in a while. You want to go crazy. Put it out there and have fun with it. Let them run around, scare people a little bit. It's so fun.
Well, I know you've got to go check on your burning pie. You don't want your blueberries to be singed, and so I'm gonna let you go tend to your kitchen work here.
Thank you.
And I've got to go. I don't know, like drink a glass of red wine and calm down after that 20-minute film session. Got me all hot and bothered here.
There's so much to talk about, and there's so much to look at, and there's so much to dive into, and what's going to be next. And you know what the problem is? The All 22 takes forever. Whoever runs that site, I got to call them. I'd be like, seriously, what
they
takes
should just
so
make
long?
it like it's like they should just
Stop.
make it as widely available as possible.
I know how fast that stuff gets uploaded. Okay, I'd be on the plane and my iPad would be handed to me with the All 22 in it. Like, here you go, buddy. I was like, all right, here we go. Play. You can't tell me that after the game they can't just go, boop, uploaded. Come on, give it to me. Somebody just give it to me. How about that?
Well, you should have connections. My God,
dude, just hit me up on Instagram. Do something. If you run the All 22, hit me up. We'll get something going. I need to get this film faster. I can't wait till Wednesday. I need this injected in my veins, dude.
Just if you could just inject the All 22 into our veins on Monday, that would be helpful for everybody involved. All right, he's Alex Boone. This is Trenches with Boone. You can find it usually Monday nights. We record, post it Tuesday morning. Sometimes we do it Tuesdays, but you can find it early in the week here on the Purple Daily YouTube channel. Please click subscribe and like.
By the way, I got a question. How do you like the late night format? Because I love it.
I think it's fun. So yeah, just behind the curtain here, we usually record the the daily episodes of Purple Daily in the mornings and then release them like late morning, early afternoons. But there's just a different vibe when the lights are down low and the film room gets rocking and
the old Macadac.
Just
Dude, I'm not going to lie. That's the perfect nickname for you. I get super fired up when you're like old Macadac. I'm like, oh man, he's breaking down film. Let's get crazy. Because this is when like the time when you would break down the most film, when it was dark out, everyone was sleeping. You felt
kids
like
are in bed. Yeah.
You were like that kid that was huddled up in his bed with his blanket over him, and you were just like hooked on your iPad, and you were like a huge dip in, and TV was on in the background, and you were just glued for hours. Show me something.
This is the vibe. Just a couple of elite high-level athletes, Phil Mackey and Alex Boone, just breaking everything down for the audience.
Dude,
taking the audience to school. Yep.
You know what? We got to start another show. We just got to have people send in plays and be like, break this down. What happened here? What we should do that.
There is something fun, I think, anyways, about just like of a dumb fan like me asking
dumb.
a trained
dumb, but I know what you're saying.
Trained professional questions, because I think a lot of people, you watch film at this, calculus level that most people that watch the game on Sundays don't. And so to be able to stop you once in a while and be like, okay, what does that mean? What is that? You're speaking a different language right now, or I'm going to ask a dumb question about this. I think like it's what I am interested in. So I try to ask you questions that I'm interested in personally and hope that the audience kind of, has the same feel. But yeah, maybe we expand the empire here at some point.
A late night show. Super late show. Just all film. We should just cram as much film in one show as we can. How long?
What if we just did like a 24-hour film fest?
I don't think you'd be able to last. I would. Would you?
Is that a challenge?
I would challenge you to 24 straight hours, and we could pull up everything. We could go back to like Super Bowl I, break down that defense.
Where all of the players are just ripping heaters on the sidelines and old timey football film. Like we should go back. So I've told you this before. My grandpa played football at Notre Dame literally like 100 years ago in the 1920s.
You never told me that.
So he played for Newt Rockne back in the 20s, which is why I'm a Notre Dame fan. That
explains so much about you, Phil. And I mean that in the best way. Like it is all coming together now.
But like that era of film where they once in a while would like do a forward pass, but it was mostly just 9 running backs and, just line it up, 3 yards, cloud of dust. I would love you breaking down that era of film.
No, I'd drive myself nuts. I'd be like, look at this goddamn tight end, wide open in the flat.
Yeah, and then he catches the pass, and oh my God, he runs into the goalpost, which is inexplicably on the goal line. Why?
Well, you know what? It'd be fun to break down some of the fights, because when I was in the league, a lot of our coaches were the guys that played in the 80s. In the 70s, guys would come around and they would tell us about the fights on the field, and they were like, dude, they were lethal. Guys would be, because remember when I don't know if was it last year or 2 years ago. Remember Myles Garrett swung his helmet?
Yeah, at Mason Rudolph. Yeah.
And we were all like, dude, nobody would ever in their right mind swing a helmet. I remember I was talking to one of the old timers one time, and we were like, man, there's no way anyone would ever swing a helmet. He's like, man, you guys are so soft. He was like, I remember a fight one time in a game. I sat on my helmet on the sidelines for 10 minutes while guys were swinging their helmets at each other. I was like, there's no way that's legal. He's like, bro, pull up some old film. And we went and watched some film one time, and they used to like face mask each other out of bounds.
Yeah,
they used to like grab each other and slam each other.
Well, and the head slap was a legal move.
Dude, it was like, I'm watching this film like, dude, how did you survive? And they were like, dude, you fought every play. Every play, guys were just fist fighting each other, having fun. Could you imagine that now? Could you imagine Jerome Boger? They're calling guys.
Jerome Boger's
son, real tiny. Calm down, guys. Dude, because those guys are trained to break up some fights. Like I remember the man Ed Hockley would just jump in there, big arms, like put you in a chokehold. Are you done? Are you done? He'd be like,
Ed, I feel like Ed Hockley inspired a generation of bodybuilding referees. Now, especially like college football, there's about 9 different head refs, I think, in college football.
There's 100 of them. And they're all buff as hell now.
They've got pictures of Ed Hockley on their bathroom mirrors, just inspiration.
I will not disappoint you, Ed. First down. These guys have become such a joke.
Offsides. That's right.
Hey,
Look at these.
when are they gonna? I just want to know. And this is sometimes I start going to the next world. I want to know when the referees are going to start wearing advertisements, because you know that the first head ref to have like a Visa or a Whole Foods on his jersey, dude, it's gonna sell. People are gonna be like begging for flags.
Well, they can also like do the live. They could do like little 10-second live reads too. This offensive holding penalty on number
Brought to you
72
by-
presented by Wendy's. The Baconator is back for just $5.99 at Wendy's and Wendy's mobile app. 5-yard penalty, 10-yard penalty, repeat first down.
That's how bad this. It's so greedy, isn't it? It's so bad. The back of their
Amazing.
heads, they're gonna have stuff.
All right, we'll expand the
terrible.
empire at some point here.
No question. Yeah. Hey, let's get some more film. More film. You see, I'm so addicted to film.
It's great.
You know what?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna pull up film from everywhere. We're gonna start pulling up more film.
Here's what your homework assignment is. Go find some, I don't know where you find it, like YouTube, or I don't know if NFL videos on their website or something. Just go find a couple fun things from like back in the day, like 49ers West Coast offense 80s, or just whatever piques your interest that's kind of old-timey. That would be a blast.
Okay.
Go find something on the internet and we'll break it down for the audience. All right.
Okay. All right.
All right, that's Alex Boone. I'm
He's
Phil
Phil
Mackey.
Mackey.
Thanks for hanging out with us here on Purple Daily. Daily Vikings entertainment, trenches with Boone. We'll see you guys next time.